Welcome to the News Onderlings podcast, where we explore the weird and bizarre. Here are your hosts, Noah and Jeanette.
Hello and welcome to the News Onderlings podcast. My name is Noah and I'm joined by my co-host Jeanette.
Hi, weirdos. Today, I want to talk about aliens. It's overdue, isn't it?
It is. Recently I was watching X-Files.
Oh,
it's such a good show. If you have not seen it.
The show from the 90s?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you haven't seen it, go and watch it. It's fantastic.
Well, there is just so much information that you can talk about aliens. I'm going to narrow it down a little bit. How about alien mummies?
Like Indiana Jones and the Crystal Skull?
Well, not exactly.
I like how it's not even been a minute and we've referenced two different forms of media.
Maybe we should have started a movie podcast. I found this article that intrigued me because it talks about alien mummies. I do like aliens and the subject of aliens. I don't know that I believe in them or don't believe in them. I'm just kind of in the gray in between area. I can't really decide. You know, I like astronomy. I look at the sky a whole lot. I have never personally seen anything. I have picked up something on my deep sky binoculars, and those are a thing. I do have them. And I didn't know what it was, and I tracked it. It was on a straight trajectory. It never turned. It never sped up. It never slowed down. So I think, personally, that it was some kind of space trash.
Oh, space trash.
That's a thing.
I know it is.
If you look up map, you can just Google a map of the things that orbit planet Earth, and you will be shocked at how much there is.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. So
it's a lot of just. You ever seen WALL-E? Another media form.
You want to bring up a movie again? WALL-E.
Yeah,
yes, I have seen.
When he goes into space, and there's just the planet is just surrounded in trash.
Yeah, it's kind of like that. So we're not far off from that reality, I think, sadly. But, you know, so I've always been kind of interested in that area.
Understandably. So real quick, my take is, and I've said this before on the podcast, I think even the previous one before this, I believe in aliens, but I don't believe that they have visited Earth. Because when you think about it, when you go to Jupiter, you're not sending a person to Jupiter, you're sending a probe. So my take on it is alien probes have visited Earth, maybe unmanned, but I don't think that aliens themselves have made it to Earth, unless it's come off of a comet, you know, some microorganism that's landed on Earth and evolved into like an octopus, since, you know, they have somewhat unknown genus compared to ours. That's my take on it anyways, but I'll let you get to the story now.
Okay, we have so much that we can talk about this. It might take more than one episode, so I'm sure we'll have future alien episodes.
We'll revisit the aliens and all kinds of revisitations in the future, so I'm sure we'll come back to aliens.
Well, this article I found on Reuters, I hope I'm saying that right, Reuters World News. The title is Human Bodies, Elongated Heads, Alien Fever Grips Southern Peru. So yeah, of course I had to read it, but I'll go through a couple of the paragraphs in here. So this place that takes place in Nazca, Leonardo Rivera says he chanced upon the cave in Peru's remote Nazca region that contained hundreds of pre-Hispanic artifacts, including human bodies with elongated heads and what appeared to be only 3 fingers on each hand. The plateau is famous for the Nazca lines. I'm sure you know it.
Yes, so this is literally Indiana Jones.
Yeah, I guess so. So the Nazca lines, for everybody who doesn't know, are geoglyphs, and you can only see them from the air, but
yes,
they're kind of scratched into the earth.
Yes, they are very cool. I'll see about posting pictures of it to our social medias.
Okay, that's a good idea. Nazca is also known for salt flats that dehydrate and preserve human and animal remains, making it the site of important archaeological finds that have deepened modern understanding of ancient cultures and attracted grave robbers.
Which is, again, understandable.
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones, once again.
Rivera was convicted in 2022 of assault on public monuments for unearthing the artifacts. So he got in trouble for taking those, I guess. He received a 4-year suspended sentence and was fined about 20,000 Peruvian soles, which is $5,190 American.
Souls spelled Souls?
Soles.
Okay. SOLES?
Yeah.
So like shoe soles?
I guess.
Not like souls from people?
No, it's not. Nobody had to die.
What's the SEOULS? Sales? What's that word?
I have no idea what
I've heard that word before.
gibberish.
Anyways, back to the story.
His haul was thrust into the spotlight last year when 2 of the mummies ended up in Mexico as the centerpiece of congressional hearings on UFOs and extraterrestrial life. Mexican journalist Jamie Mousen presented the bodies as a sign of life beyond Earth, a claim dismissed by scientists. Of course.
Of course.
They always dismissed it.
Of course they dismissed it.
They might have had good reason in this case, though, and we'll get to that.
Did they test it?
Yes.
Okay. We will get to that then, I'm assuming.
Rivera said he removed as many as 200 sets of remains from the cave, and some bodies had been smuggled out of Peru to France, Spain, and Russia.
Okay. You're kidding, though, right? 200?
200.
200 of them.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
The presentation of bodies in Mexico, as well as Rivera's claims to have dozens more, have prompted some experts to ask whether Peru is losing the battle to stop the plunder of its archaeological sites to feed a lucrative black market for mummies and other pre-Hispanic artifacts.
Yeah, no kidding.
Peru has done a lot of work to try to control this trade, says a Latin American history professor at Penn State University. And he is also the author of a book, Peruvian Mummies, in case anybody wants to read that. He says, but this implies that these claims for government success need to be re-examined a bit if objects like the bodies in Mexico can leave the country. That's a big problem with people going to other countries and taking artifacts illegally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like national parks. You're not supposed to take stuff.
Yeah, I've been hearing a lot. This is completely off topic, but I've been hearing a lot that Hawaii doesn't want any more tourists because they keep taking lava rocks
stuff. Yeah.
And it's damaging the ecosystem. So many are taken. So those need to be there for a purpose. Right. I'm not sure what the purpose is, but
for rock stuff.
Rock stuff?
Rock stuff.
Okay, so what do you think about this story? That's all I'm going to read of it. I mean, they go into a lot more stuff about the legality of the situation and what kind of trouble you can get into for stealing this kind of thing and all that. Do you think this guy really found 200 mummified bodies?
Well, he might have found 200 mummified bodies, but I don't believe that they're alien. I don't believe that they're creatures of some kind. They're probably just people that lived there a long time ago. Kind
of like Bigfoot. Does he really exist?
No, he's just really good at hide and seek.
Okay, so I want to find articles that dispute the original article that I have for our discussion.
Right, because this podcast is about the truth.
Yes.
Finding the truth. The truth is out there.
The truth.
The X-Files way. Did we make an X-Files podcast?
I think we might
accident?
have. So I found this from NPR. A ufologist claims to show 2 aliens' corpses in Mexico's Congress. So you heard me reference that in the first story.
Yes.
So Mexico's Congress heard testimony from experts who study extraterrestrials on Tuesday, and the hearing started with a huge surprise. Jamie Mousen, a self-described ufologist, brought 2 caskets into the congressional chambers. As Mousen spoke, 2 men uncovered the caskets to reveal 2 bodies. Okay, I urge everyone to Google this picture. It's horrible. Okay, there's 2 bodies, and they look like dolls. They're very, very small. If you're thinking full size, don't even think about a gray alien, how they're only supposed to be 3 foot or 4 foot tall. This is 18 inches.
Oh, wow.
It's tiny. And one of them, he has dressed up in a dress that looks just ridiculous.
Are you serious?
I don't have the picture. I don't think I have the picture. I'll look to see if I have the picture for you, but it's very cringy.
Is that the picture?
Well, this is one of the pictures.
I hate that. It looks like a turtle.
Well, another big problem I see with it is, of course, it's supposed to just be bones at this point. What's wrong with the eyes?
Yeah, why is it?
Do you see something weird about the eyes?
It's like a
They're
turtle.
just slits.
Yeah.
I mean, aliens are supposed to have the big eyes, you know? Everything about it looks like a gray, like a stereotypical gray alien,
Mhm.
except it has slits for eyes, and it has a nose.
Again, we'll post these pictures to our social medias, but if to describe it for those of you who don't follow us, it looks like a child got hit in the face with a pan, so its face is flat and its eyes are just kind of sunken in, and it's got this weird little mouth. That's pretty much how I can describe it.
It kind of looks more like E.T.
Yeah.
from the movie
Yeah.
E.T.
If he got hit in the face with a pan.
Yeah, I think that's what they were going there for.
Yeah.
So according to the article, the corpses looked white and like stereotypical depictions of aliens. Big head, little body, 3 fingers. I disagree with that. It doesn't look stereotypic to me,
No,
but
not to me either.
Mousen said they were found in Peru in 2017 and are estimated to be 1,000 years old. One of the bodies had been pregnant, he claimed. I guess that was the female that was wearing the dress.
Wow, he put a dress on it just to make sure everyone knew.
I don't know how he could tell that it had been pregnant because it's...
What was he doing down there?
Well, it's literally just a skeleton.
Yeah, that's not something you can prove through skeletal structures.
Mummies, maybe.
But they still have some. Well, even
But this
then,
doesn't
they don't
even
really
look like a
have-
typical Egyptian
It
mummy.
doesn't look like a mummy either. It looks like a rock.
Yeah, it just looks like bones.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're using the term mummy pretty loosely, I think. But he said these are not mummies. These are complete bodies that have not been manipulated. It's interesting that he would say that. Speaking under oath, Mousen claimed the bodies were non-human. Mousen and others have presented similar claims about alleged aliens' remains in the past.
Of course he has.
So he's a bit habitual. This is an alien peddler. So scientists saw these other ones that he had presented and dismissed them as either ancient Peruvian mummies or manipulated mummies.
Right.
So he has taken like an actual remains of people and tried to say they were aliens.
So what he's done is illegal.
Yes.
And he's just in front of Congress now,
So
peddling his wares.
Right. They had a forensic expert and a military doctor. They walked Congress through scans of the alleged alien bodies. He claimed the alleged aliens had big brains and big eyes, which we just talked about.
Yeah.
The eyes are not big.
They're not very big.
It looks like the eye sockets could be big,
But the eyes are like shrunken and sunken in.
It's very strange. It doesn't look like a typical mummy, I don't think. Of course. What do you think a typical alien mummy would look like?
He's got rags hanging from him and he's walking around like, ooh, like Frankenstein.
I'm just going to have a side tangent here because let's just say for argument's sake that he did find 200 bodies under there. How can he say that they're alien?
Oh, well, they've got 3 fingers.
So what makes them alien if they've got 3
they're 18
fingers?
inches tall.
I'm assuming when he says alien, he means from outer space.
I'm assuming so, yes. I'm also being sarcastic.
I mean that's a leap. Right?
It is quite the leap. I think this guy's just a snake oil salesman.
The hearing also included remarks by Ryan Graves, Executive Director of Americans for Safe Aerospace Organization. A former Navy pilot, Graves was one of the 3 U.S. veterans who testified in front of a U.S. congressional subcommittee investigating the existence of UFOs in July.
That name sounds familiar. Is he the guy who was part of those unclassified documents?
He could be. I'm not sure.
Graves that name is like super familiar to me.
But that could be a whole episode by itself.
Oh, yes. The unclassified documents that, what was it, the president released?
So on Wednesday after the hearing, Graves distanced himself from it. So I don't know what's happening there.
I'm sure he was like, this guy's full of it. I'm going to distance myself from someone who's a snake oil salesman because I believe in my own things. I'm sure that's exactly what was going through his head.
Well, in a post on X, he said he accepted the Mexican Congress invitation, hoping to keep the momentum of government interest in pilot experience with unidentified anomalous phenomena, or UAPs. Unfortunately, yesterday's demonstration was a huge step backwards for this issue, he wrote. My testimony centered on sharing my experience and the UAP reports I hear from commercial and military air crew through ASA's Witness program. I will continue to raise awareness of UAP as an urgent matter of aerospace safety, national security, and science, but I am deeply disappointed by this unsubstantiated stunt.
That's funny. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he's part of the unclassified documents that came out. But that is funny that he was like, this guy's a joke. Don't listen to him.
Well, I couldn't find any kind of transcripts from that court hearing. I wish I would have, or
that would have been
a video.
Good. Yeah.
Maybe I just didn't know where to look, but I think it would have been interesting to what made this guy be like, yes, I will stand up and be your expert person to give testimony. And then afterwards he was like, whoa, that was
that was bad.
That was a creep show from somewhere.
From Creep Show?
We gotta do an episode on Creep Show.
That's a show if I've ever seen one.
Okay, so we're gonna get into other articles that talk about the validity of this congressional hearing, okay, and on these mummies. So of course Mexico is like, hey, we've got alien mummies, look at us. So this is from space.com. I like them. They seem to be above board, and they give it to you straight. I have another weird creepy picture if you want to look at it.
Oh wow.
Oh, there they are. It's not a picture of the one with the dress on. No, you gotta see that one.
Those look,
they look like dolls.
They look fake.
They're so small. I don't know. I just don't. The article is entitled Alien Mummies in Mexico? ? NASA's UFO study team says don't bet on it. NASA. Gotta love NASA. UFOs and aliens are once again in the headlines this week. Unfortunately, this is not because a mothership landed on the White House lawn, but because NASA released a long-awaited report published by the independent study team the agency commissioned to study unidentified anomalous phenomena. UAP is the new term for UFOs, encompassing not only unexplained things in the air, but also in space, underwater, and everywhere in between.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that
in between your toes.
Yeah.
You got little things you don't know what they are in between your toes. UAP. I did want to talk about the report that NASA released. I did read it, and it is not informative at all.
Which is unusual for NASA.
It was more of a report of NASA just pretty much saying, if I had to summarize it, with a lot of scientific lingo,
yes,
how they believe that a lot of the footage, the famous Navy pilot footage, where they're tracking something on their radar, is just interference with atmospheric conditions, and it's probably something else. And they've got pictures of weather balloons, which if you don't know what an actual weather balloon looks like, you should probably Google a picture, because it's not what I thought.
It's not a balloon with a box attached.
I guess I still had in my mind the old, back in the 40s and 50s when they claimed the UFO crash in Roswell was a weather balloon. That's still what, in my mind, I thought a weather balloon looked like. But that's not what they look like anymore. So I can understand if someone looked up and said, what in the world is that?
Yeah.
I wouldn't know what it was. I'd be like, there's a giant germ blown up floating in the sky, because that's kind of what it looks like.
Right.
I'm sure everybody's seen online of certain viruses that have been around lately, like the blown up magnified version of them. That's kind of what a weather balloon looks like.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It's not normal. It's not what you think.
It's not what I thought anyway. The supposed alien mummies, well, the creepy whatever they are, that's what it wrote. That's what he wrote, were displayed by Jamie Mousen. I'm having a hard time with
I know
his
you
name.
usually struggle with names.
A longtime UFO personality with a history of hoaxing alleged non-human remains. So this is the first article I found that pretty much called him out. Okay, this guy
Right.
likes to hoax stuff. Despite his history of faking mummies and alien mummies, the story has now gone wide, so wide in fact that it was brought up during NASA's briefing about the new UAP report, which took place on Thursday.
Wow.
So this article is from 2023. I didn't really date it for anybody. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's recent.
Supposedly, this guy found this stuff in a Peruvian cave in 2017.
I was going to say, wasn't it 2017?
So all this stuff is happening over a 5-year period so far.
Right.
During Thursday's briefing, BBC News digital journalist Sam Cabral asked whether or not NASA had been in touch with Mexican authorities about the rather sensational revelations concerning the alleged alien mummies.
Almost like the police should arrest that man.
In response, the chair of NASA's UAP study team, David Sporgel, responded that if there is any evidence of alien remains, then those in possession of the material should make it publicly available for study.
It's a big if.
So, calling it out.
Yeah.
Let us study it. Let us test it. Okay? When you have unusual things, you want to make a data public, he said. I think of this as like NASA has one of the most valuable samples from outer space, lunar rocks. What do? We make them available to any scientists who want to work on this.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I want to become a scientist just so I can look at the lunar rocks. They are like Fort Knoxed at NASA.
Oh, I believe it.
You got to have high clearance to get in there to see it. And
I believe it.
We don't know the nature of those samples that were shown in front of them. He added, if I was the Mexican government, if I would make a recommendation to the Mexican government, that's not our charge here. We're doing this for NASA. My recommendation would be if you have something strange, make samples available to the world scientific community and we'll see what they are.
Yes.
So
I agree 100%. There is no reason to believe that these are real just based on looks alone.
And it's always been kind of amazing to me that people have to say what they're trying to get across, and it's usually logical, common sense things. When this,
yes,
they have to say it over and over and over for people to be like, oh, I don't know what the solution would be.
There's no telling.
Dan Evans, Assistant Deputy Associate Administrator for Research at NASA's Science Mission Directorate.
It's quite the title.
That is, yeah. Chimed in to add that the entire point of NASA's UAP study team is to dispel the type of sensationalism and pseudoscience displayed for Mexican lawmakers this week. And that really falls in line in what I was saying about the report. I read it, and it was just saying, look, we really haven't had it tested with all measures. NASA has certain scientific instruments that they could use that could better determine what these things are than people, just seeing something on their radar or getting a very grainy, distorted picture. That's what they're saying. So,
right.
let NASA have it, people. Let them have it.
Just give it to them. Let them prove you wrong.
So let's get back to Mousen.
Mm-hmm.
As it turns out, Mousen had a history of wheeling out fake alien remains. Micah Hanks, editor of The Debrief and a longtime UAP researcher, says that Mousen's latest alien body hoax is unfortunately not the first time this sort of thing has happened. In 2015, Mousen organized an event in Mexico City marketing the release of a blurry photograph depicting what appeared to be the remains of a small mummified humanoid alien. However, once clear copies of the image were circulated online just hours after their remains belonging to an indigenous American child, which decades ago had been displayed for a time in a museum, Hanks told Space.com. Some of the individuals involved at the time issued public apologies on account of the child's remains being misrepresented in such a way.
Wow. That's kind of messed up.
I'm not going to read the rest of this article, but I do want to do one more short because they did test it.
Oh, good. What was it?
CBS released
Oh,
an article that's entitled "Aliens Found in Peru Are Actually Dolls Made of Bones," forensics experts
wow.
declare.
It's like you called it. Oh, wait, you already read these.
Aliens have not been discovered in South America after all. The doll-like figures, photographs of which went viral online last year, are just that, dolls. The controversial artifacts were seized by Peruvian custom agents in October and intended for a Mexican citizen, the Associated Press reported. Mexican journalist and self-described ufologist Jamie Mousen brought similar unidentified fraudulent objects in front of the Mexican Congress last September, claiming they had been recovered near Peru's ancient Nazca lines and dated over 700 years. So, we got a timeline jump too, because the other ones he claimed were 1,000.
Yeah.
So, this guy's got a reputation, it looks like.
He's just a serial liar.
None of the scientists say the study results prove that they are extraterrestrials, but I go farther. Experts with Peru's prosecutor's office analyzed and seized the dolls, and forensic archaeologists presented the results of their findings at a press conference for the Peruvian Ministry of Culture on Friday.
Man, say that 5 times fast. Peru's prosecutors.
I'm having a hard time saying it once.
I know you are.
So, a forensic archaeologist at the Institute of Legal Medicine of Peru speaks as he holds a tiny body of a specimen in Lima, Peru in 2024. So, this is January.
Oh, this one has the dress.
Is that the one with the dress?
Yeah.
But you see how little it is?
It is tiny. It's literally a doll. Both literally and in this picture, it's a doll.
They are not extraterrestrials. They are not intraterrestrials. They are not a new species. They are not hybrids. They are none of those things that this group of pseudoscientists, who for 6 years have been presenting with these elements. The humanoid 3-fingered dolls consisted of earthbound animal and human bones assembled with modern synthetic glue.
Well, all right then. So this guy's just literally gluing bones together and saying, hey, I found some aliens in this cave.
What makes a person want to fake that?
Fame. I'm sure it's money, mostly.
But this is the 21st century. They are
where they can test anything.
They are going to test it.
And find glue in between
and
each bone.
That you're an idiot. Although I have said his name probably 20 times in this podcast. So.
Incorrectly.
Yeah, probably. So maybe infamy will do for this guy instead of being famous?
There's no telling. We'd have to get a psychologist and analyze people who just do this kind of thing. There's really no telling.
Yes, but I'm going to leave you with one more article, and I'm going to let everybody else read it. I'm not going to read it now because we're out of time. But NPR, July of 2023.
U.S. recovered non-human biologics from UFO crash sites, former intel official says.
So, next podcast, we're going to talk about it.
Yeah, on the next episode, I'm briefly looking over it. I see the name Ryan Graves again, and for some reason, I trust that man. Maybe it's his name.
But we're going to definitely do more UFO, or UAP is the correct terminology nowadays.
Yes.
Episodes in the future, and we'll probably bring this article back into it. But if you guys are curious, you can Google it on your own. So tell us what you think. Are there aliens? Do you think they're here? Do you think we'll recover their bodies someday? Do you think they've already got their bodies? Tell us everything. We want to know. Thanks for listening. Use the link in the description to send us a message.
Like what you heard? Like, subscribe, and share us with your friends. We can be found on Instagram, Reddit, X, Facebook, and TikTok. Thanks for listening.
You've been listening to the New Zonderlings podcast. Be sure to check out other episodes of this podcast, when Noah and Jeanette will once again explore the weird and bizarre, right here on the New Zonderlings podcast.